So one of the hindrances of the Christian life is when we take our focus off of Jesus and we put him on ourselves. The moment I take my eyes off of Christ, I have only the power of Eddie. The moment you take your eyes off of Christ, you only have the power of what you can do. And I'm the cause of my trouble to start with, so how am I going to have the power to change? Well, the same thing is true even back to the beginning of the church. It started in the nation of Israel, and some of the religious leaders rejected Christ, and they couldn't receive what God was doing because they were focused on themselves. The Bible says, seeking to establish their own righteousness, they missed the righteousness of God. And then we pick up in 2 Corinthians 3:14, it says, but their minds were blinded, for until this day the same veil remains unlifted in the reading of the Old Testament, because that veil is taken away in Christ. But even to this day, when Moses is read, the veil rests on their heart. Nevertheless, when one turns to the Lord, that veil is taken away. The Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into that same image, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. It is God's job to transform you and I, our lives, because it is the Spirit of God. As we're beholding Christ, the promise is, as I behold his glory, the Spirit inside me begins to transform me into that same glory. So if I'm looking at Christ and I'm drawing towards Christ, then God begins to produce a fruit of the Spirit in me, and it transforms me into his image. What happens if I'm looking at me? What am I being transformed into? I'm being transformed into the flesh. If I'm looking at my failures, I'm being transformed into the failures. We're told to take our eyes off of ourselves and put them on Christ. It is not what you do for God. God will never allow you to do what Christ has already done, because that makes you a rival of Jesus. Jesus fulfilled all things, and he invites us to enter into his work, and then we're credited with his work as an act of faith, and then the Spirit begins to produce in our lives.